Peace, 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 everyone. Hello, hello again. Welcome to another Post-Maafa Reconstruction, number 14. Today we have some very, very special guests, some very close people, friends, and family of mine, which is the Kemetic family. You don't always get an opportunity to choose your family, but in this case, I found the very passionate people about our ancestry, very studious people who has the goals to uplift the melanated Black community. And I am just so happy to see my friends here with us. My name is Tahuti Forever. I'm the Jati here of the shrine here in Banu, Phoenix, Arizona. I'm also the architect of MelaNation. We are here every Wednesday, live, every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. That's Arizona time. Arizona is one of the only states that does not participate in the daylight savings. So Arizona does not participate in daylight savings. So sometimes I get that question, Shinka, what time is it in your time zone? Well, I don't know. Because we are disconnected from the rest of the country because everyone else changes their clock. And when they change, we stay the same. So if we were an hour ahead, now we're 2 hours ahead. If we were, or if they go back, if we were 3 hours behind, now we're 2 hours behind. So sometimes in the spring or the winter, we're in different time zones. But yes, we're here every Wednesday, 6 p.m. Arizona time. Miss Lizzie Woody, please introduce yourself.
Greetings, everyone. This is Lizzie Woody. Can you hear me?
I can. Let me mute everyone else's microphone really quick. Go ahead, Miss Lizzie.
And my normal story is, I'm a longtime resident here in Phoenix, Arizona, and an advocate for us as Black folks being able to support each other, know what we're doing, sharing information, and that's kind of what I do, and I've been doing it for a long time. So, welcome, everyone.
Miss Lizzie Woody is our PR public relations manager. Miss Lizzie Woody, Brother Benjamin, are you familiar with Miss Lizzie?
Brother Benjamin?
So, because a lot of people are very familiar with Miss Lizzie. She has been in the community for a very long time. She has been doing the work. She has a lot of different doors open because of the work that she's done in the past. She has introduced myself, MelaNation, to a lot of different Black-owned businesses. And it's very important when you have someone who is already familiar, they can introduce you in a way that you are automatically family. So she's done that position very, very, very well. Ms. Janvier, if you can please introduce yourself. Let me unmute you here.
Oh, I muted myself because those puppies were running around here making noise. But I'm Marjorie MJ Janvier. Don't forget the MJ. And I am the project manager for the MelaNation App. And I have been in Arizona for a long time. I moved away to California, came back, and I kind of did that back and forth. So I got to know people there and here and make some good connections. But here I am serving now as a project manager for MelaNation App. And I am just so honored to be here in this conversation.
Ashe, ashe, ashe. And on a personal note, that is my mother. So that's Queen Mother, Marjorie Janvier. I want to introduce my brother, Brother Benjamin. Oh, we're on here twice. Okay. All right. So I removed your other profile. Brother Benjamin, I'm going to need you to unmute that mic. I am about to introduce you, and words. I don't know what words. So, on my introduction into the conscious community, into the Kemetic community, um, Brother Benjamin helped me out on my journey. We began by reading, oh, don't let me forget which book we started. Which book? So, I don't know if it was
SBA.
Anthony Browder's. Was it
Yes,
Now Valley Contributions?
I,
Ooh,
I think
what?
it was.
Yes. Now, so we met in his house as a community, and it was just a very intimate. What's the more intimate meeting where we just powwow, read the book, and come up with our understanding. And um, that was my first introduction. So we're talking about 2017, right? So
Correct. Yes.
Brother Benjamin is a health and healer. He has a beautiful practice in healing, um, and just a personal friend of mine. And I just love the fact that you're here. Please introduce yourself.
Yes. So my name is Benjamin Lewis IV. I am a licensed acupuncturist. I do Chinese medicine. I've been doing it for the past 14 years. And like the brother stated, I met him doing a book study on African knowledge, African wisdom. And earlier you asked if I knew Miss Lizzie. Yes, I've met her before.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, and let's see. I currently have a practice called Optimal Royal Living, which is out in Tempe. And then I am also located in the East Valley by the Santan Mall. It is a modern acupuncture, and that location is the crossroads is Val Vista and Williamsfield Road, and that is actually a black-owned modern acupuncture out there in Gilbert.
Wow.
Ashe, beautiful. So, like I said, this is a very personal session for me. The next person that I'm going to introduce here, Miss Shin Ka. She is someone who I highly respect. We are in the same Kemetic tradition through the same shrine. And she is one of the people who've taken up the mantle to move forward to make sure the Kemetic practice is done in its most professional and beautiful way. Miss Shinka, please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Shinka Hatep, everyone.
Okay.
Welcome back to the committee. You,
Okay.
I have been a comedic practitioner for more than 10 years, a member of the Shrine of Ma'at for the last 6 years. I've known the Jati here, Tahuti forever, probably about that long. I've been following his work for many years. He's had a lot of endeavors, and I'm very, very proud of the things that he's been able to do. I am a certified licensed womb steamer, which is known as yoni practitioner. I'm also an end of life stage coach, also known as a death doula. I've been in the medical field for over 25 years. Uh, I work with herbs and do a lot of reading. I'm also an author. I promote Black everything, Black everything. uh, Specifically Black women, because first and foremost, I am a Black woman. So
Okay.
I believe in the healing of ourselves and coming into knowledge of self and being able to be self-aware, to be able to sustain yourself in this modern country and trying to figure out how to navigate, as African descendants in this modern world.
Shay, welcome, welcome. Definitely happy to have you on here. So we are here. Well, let me give the audience our information here. Um, we can be found on YouTube under MelaNation App. We can be found on Facebook at MelaNation App. And for donation, you can send cash to the Cash App under $ MelaNation App. We're here to discuss with the family in reference to the direction that the company is going in. And at about 6:30, we're going to go into MelaNomics. Generally, what MelaNomics is discussing best practices with our guest speaker. So from between now and 6:30, we'll discuss the app. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask those questions directly in reference to the app. And we do have some other family members that I expect to log on pretty soon. So that being said, let me introduce our little 2-minute commercial in reference to the app so we can get people familiar with what we're actually discussing.
The emergence of an inspired event is now on the move, requiring all hands on deck. You should share. We have substantially invested in a systematic approach to Black economics. Our mission is to empower and uplift our community, both online and in the physical world where birds fly. Interestingly, your monthly vote steers the direction of the company. Introducing MelaNation, a cutting-edge TV and an internet platform. It's making its way to the world stage with over 400 pages of state-of-the-art features. Features include movie streaming, a production studio for influencers where your production will be displayed through the television, a dating site that can be accessed through the TV, a Google Maps-powered satellite mapping system for registered Black-owned businesses and entertainment, making it easier for you to locate the community near you, and much more. We're bringing everything the community needs under one roof in order to build the proper infrastructure across the nation. Learn more on the Facebook page, family.
So those are some of the features of the app. Basically, we are putting all the modern features under one app, and we're making sure it's done and created as professional as possible. We're looking for advice as far as how to make it more user-friendly, if there are additional features that needs to be added. We are going to continue to invest in this app. So we're not actually looking for donations in order to purchase anything. We've already done all the purchases. We are at the time we're implementing ideas to the structure. The purpose of it is to be systematic. We've always had a lot of strengths. We have a lot of beautiful Black-owned businesses. We have Black leaders. The issue is coming together and galvanizing that energy. So as the architect, my job is to create that bucket, that home where we can galvanize that energy. So when we're having those lectures in Texas, Houston, Phoenix, New York, we're having all these lectures all the time, but they're not coming together in one smooth motion. So as the architect, I'm designing a bucket that we can all pour into. And it's a very costly bucket, but we want to make sure it's done in a professional manner. And you know how we are, it has to be 5 stars.
Right.
That being said, I'm gonna let Lizzie Woody have the floor for a moment because we are in June. So we know that there are a lot of events for Juneteenth. Miss Lizzie Woody?
Okay, I know you see me, but I can't see the screen. I do apologize. I'm on a totally different screen and I can't get back to where I can see what I have.
Well, you may have to toggle over. What I'll do, you let me know when you're back onto the screen. You just have to toggle to the right page on the very top, and I will bring that back in. Okay, so interrupt me at any time because these events they're here now. So we want to make sure everyone is aware of these events.
Right.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Not a problem. That being said, let me go ahead and a lot of us do have the prototype to the app. We're currently in the alpha phase, so we actually are testing. We're in the testing mode of the app and we're in the changing mode of the app. So, a lot of us have the prototype and a lot of us actually have the alpha app. So this may be presented in 2 different ways, but I'll go ahead and bring up the prototype here. Give me 1 second. So this is our prototype. See if I can make it any bigger here. Maybe as big as I can get it for now. Oh, there we are. So this is our prototype. The very first front page of the screen is in reference to our highlights. This is the family on the front page. On the very top, you'll see MelaNews. MelaNews is the way that we present our information to our people. In fact, let me go over to the web page so I can give a better explanation of MelaNews here. So the web page is melanation.co. Melanation.co is the name of the web page. So MelaNews is the Post-Maafa Reconstruction instrument. Post-Maafa Reconstruction phase begins with narrative sovereignty. After centuries of displacement, extraction, and distortion, our first responsibility is to reclaim the power to define our reality for ourselves. Reconstruction cannot occur while our stories are being told by outsiders, filtered through hostile systems, or reduced to spectacle. A people disconnected from their own narrative cannot coordinate their future. So when we're talking about MelaNews, the very first thing that you're going to see when you log on to the app is a live broadcast. This live broadcast allows our community to interact with us, to let us know what's going on in their community, what the opportunities are, what the needs are. Also, we'll be updating the community based on what the company is currently looking to do, where we are, and where we're projected to go. So we're going to be informing our users around the clock. That's the very first thing that they will be seeing on the app itself. How important is that as far as telling our own narratives, telling our own stories, instead of allowing our oppressors to tell the story from their perspective, from a Eurocentric perspective instead of the Afro-centered perspective. The app also has movie streaming. So we utilize entertainment as a strategy gateway to reach the community at large. Culture is what draws us in, but consciousness keeps us together. Through shared stories, music, creativity, we gather the people, transforming attention into alignment and participation into purpose. Galvanizing the community is not a slogan. It's a mechanism for empowerment. So we are looking to, we have over 400 pages of features. There's over 400 pages of features, and we're going to continue to expand, adapt, and grow to the needs of our community. That's what we're dedicated to do. And I just wanted to mention Shinka here because she understands the need to continue to be exceptional and push forward, because not all the time do we have the participation, the support system. We don't always have that. So we have to be ourselves that support structure. We keep that in mind while we're developing this app. We want to make sure that we are that what is needed for the community. So some of the items are here. You'll see the Mela Market, you see jobs, you see courses where teachers can come on and give courses. The teachers can do the course for free, or they can charge for the course. That's up to them. And again, I know some of us do have either the prototype or you have the alpha version of the app where you've been able to take a look at it. Is that Miss Lizzie Woody coming on again? Miss Lizzie Woody, are you there? She's on her way back in. There she is.
Did I make it back?
Yes, indeed.
I am learning. I am learning.
This is all a learning phase. You know, if we're living, then we should be learning. That's how it
Okay.
goes.
I know I didn't realize I was off from everyone. I know I didn't hear anything, but anyway,
Mhm.
am I to be given a few of the locations now, or?
Okay, do you have it up? You
Yes,
ready?
I do. I do.
All right.
Um,
Now, when you logged out, we no longer have access to that page that you uploaded into the system. But you can go ahead and read it off.
no, that okay. We do have Juneteenth celebration at the garden, and this is Desert Botanical Garden on June the 19th. And I know it starts in the evening. It does not give a time on here, but you can always check with the Desert Botanical Garden as to when it starts.
Right.
And that is 1201 North Galvin Parkway in Phoenix. Also on the 18th at the Mercados and Melodies Juneteenth celebration. That is in Avondale at the Civic Center in Avondale. It's on Thursday, June the 18th from 6:30 until 9:30 p.m. And the address is 11465 West Civic Center Drive in Avondale. And it is coordinated by the City of Avondale Parks and Recreation Department. I'll give you one more. In Tempe, Juneteenth celebration is on the 19th of June, which is Friday. Family-friendly event. And it's at the Tempe Historic Museum, which is located at 809 East Southern Avenue in Tempe. And that's hosted by the City of Tempe African American Advisory Committee. So that's just a few of the ones that are still left until the end of the month.
Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Thank you for those. Welcome, Jason Holmes. Welcome, Uncle Ma'at. Let me give a brief introduction. I don't know if you mind me giving a little bit of personal information as well as when I introduce you. Okay, so Jason, like I said, you don't get to choose your family all the time, but in this instance, this is someone that came to our practice, and he's in the same Kemetic house that I'm in, and I feel a very kindred spirit with him. Recently, he's had a loss. Well, let's not call it a loss. At least recently, one of his biological family members did make their transition as an ancestor. And we want to say, Uncle Jasaneb, hopefully the transition, he doesn't even have to go through the scales of Ma'at. But this brother here, I'm very, very honored that you have come on here and given us your time. Mr. Holmes and Shenka are a couple of the committee members of the Shrine of Ma'at who have taken upon ourselves. And I do want to make it as official because it is as official as possible. As far as the Kemetic committee is concerned, we're doing everything in alignment with Ma'at to make sure that we're pushing forth the proper Kemetic structure and, like I said, in alignment with Ma'at. Mr. Holmes, if you can please introduce yourself.
Sure, Sin. Like you said, my name is Jason Holmes. I'm originally from East St. Louis, Illinois. I currently live in Lincoln, Nebraska. I've been here about almost 18 years now, so it's a obvious cultural difference, to say the least. But I've been a member of the Shrine of Ma'at since 2022. Sinjahudi, I don't know if you were in a previous group than ours, right? Were you in Rakas Hashin or one of the previous groups?
Rakas Hashin, yes, sir, 2020.
Okay. Well, yeah, we came in 2022. Our class is called the Shemsu Heru, which means the followers of Heru. Not a lot to say about me, as I'm the youngest of my siblings. As Sin Jehudi was just saying, I did recently lose one of my siblings, but I didn't completely lose him. I lost him in the physical. He's still with me. But right now, I'm just trying to because me and him were so close, and we were the only family members of ours in Lincoln besides my kids. So I'm trying to get back to whatever normal is going to be, and I haven't quite figured that out yet. And I'm basically waiting on my brother to fully make his transition, and hopefully he reaches out to me and gives me some guidance from the other side. But I love my Kemetic tradition. I love this tradition. I love this practice. I've been through all of your, as far as religion is concerned, I've been through just about everything you can name. I've been Christian, I've been Seventh-day Adventist, I've been Muslim, I've been Hebrew, I've done all of that. And when you study history, you find out that none of that is really where it's at. So, but that's pretty much who I am. I'm calm. I'm laid back. I was a single dad for 18 years. Raised my 3 boys, and I do have other kids. I've got 8 kids altogether. I don't want to give up too much, but if you want to get to know me, that's pretty much my life, my kids. So.
Okay.
That's all right.
Dua Inter. 8. Yeah, I have 3 myself. I have 2 adults, and I started over. I have a 10-year-old. So I mean, and that's what it's really all about. That's the legacy.
That's it. The reason I have 8 kids because I had way too much freedom as a youth.
Is that what we call it now? Freedom? Okay.
Yes, indeed.
I'll use that word. Just
That's okay for you. That's good.
I had a lot of unsupervised time. I'll say it that way.
And the TV hadn't been invented yet.
Well, he
I did a lot of that too. But,
So at this time, let me open the floor for questions in reference to the app itself before we get in, because one of the purposes here is to give information to the family, to our viewers, in reference to the people of our community. So we're going to ask you direct questions in reference to who you are, how you came about, the different things that you're into. But at this point, if anyone has any questions directly to the app, I can bring up the prototype and we can view the different pages of the app. But if there's a question, let me know.
Well, we know that the app is only available in the stages, the first stages, that only for the people that are following, that are in the chat. And then when will the one be available for just regular people, for everybody?
So right now we're projected to launch the app September 15th of 2027. So this is a major app. This is not, and there are a lot of Black apps, right? Mm-hmm. Black apps generally focus on commerce, selling items, and social media where you're communicating with each other. We have a broader spectrum of features, so it's going to take a while longer for our app to be completed. And again, when it is complete, we're going to continue to allow it to evolve. We're not going to stop investing in it. We're going to continue to have our ear open. We're going to ask the community, what direction should we go in? And whatever the overwhelming information is, we're going to go in those directions. So this is a continuous investment. But to answer your question, September 15th of 2027 is what we're projecting to release.
I can't wait for everybody to get it. It's exciting.
I do have one question, Sin. Okay, the app, is it going to be, because I haven't
the time is now,
really learned much about it at all. Is this app, is the basis of the app like a social media platform, or is it more so like, like selling, buying, selling, and things like that?
Right. So we have over 400 pages of state-of-the-art feature. So
Okay.
to answer your question, yes, and definitely.
Yes.
So the major points of the app is going to be MelaNews. MelaNews is one of the major aspects of the app. That's our foremost feature. And reason being is we're taking control of our own narrative. We're no longer going to be allowing outsiders to tell our stories. MelaNews is a location where the users of the app can communicate with us based on the events that are happening in their neighborhood and the needs of the community. And they'll also be updated on the activities of the company, MelaNation company. So that's one of the main features. Another main feature is the movies. So you can download this app to your television. So this is going to be available on Apple, Android, and through your television, where you can stream movies. Not only stream movies, you'll actually have your own account where you can upload your own created videos. We do have a studio where you can create videos, which will automatically upload to the television through your account. You can share your videos to other people who are watching through the television, similar to YouTube, where you have your own account. So you'll be able to create your own videos, and it will be automatically uploaded through your profile. There's so many different features. The answer to your question is going to be yes. And if there's something that we are going to say no to and it's needed, it will eventually also be yes. But I can talk forever about features. But what I would like to start to discuss is the actual format of the company. So MelaNation is not run by an individual person. It's run by a committee. These committee are delegates. So we have, I want to ask the question. I want to put Jason on blast, and Jason on blast. This is a question that you are not prepared for. You do not know the answer to this, but you might get it. How many delegates? This is a number. How many delegates? Okay. Anyone can answer this question. Oh, yes, exactly. Brother Benjamin, go ahead. I saw you whisper it.
I just said 13.
Oh, you say 13? Oh, I thought I saw
I said
it.
13.
It's not 13.
All right.
That's a good number, though. If anyone can guess the number, that's just bonus credit right there. There's a number that should come to mind, and that will be the number of our delegates.
14?
40.
Say it again.
40.
It's not 40.
It's 41.
Is it 7?
Who said that?
Me.
So basically, there are 42 delegates.
Oh, I was
That's their 42.
There are
42 laws of my yacht. All right.
Yep. The 42 Declaration of Innocence.
Yes, indeed. So this is completely in the spirit of our ancestors. You can't really do anything without being within the spirit of our ancestors.
okay.
So there are 42 delegates. These delegates come from our users. So let me switch gears to another page here so I can explain this with visual and get rid of this video. So, one second. Stop screen share. Yes. Okay. Here we are. So this is how this works. We're going to go over here to the leaderboard. The way the app works is based on activity, the activities that you have on a daily basis, you get certain points on certain actions. This allows us to know who's most active in our community, right? Let's say you put out a post. Miss Lizzie, let me share this screen really quick.
Oh, I'm interfering with you.
So,
hey, look, I'm just learning this.
Yes, indeed. So when you put out a post and your post gets thumbs up or likes, what happens is you're getting credit for those posts. You're getting points for that, the popularity. It's not just clout. You're actually, wait, why is this frozen? Like, let me disconnect this and reconnect it again here because it is not showing what it should be. That's interesting. It should be showing our leaderboard. Let's start from scratch. Okay, so this is the leaderboard. And like I was mentioning, is that based on your popularity, based on how often you're on the actual page, it tells us how you've interacted with different people. You go higher on the leaderboard. The very top 800 users, they have access to become assessors. What an assessor is, they have the ability to share the direction of the company, to change the direction of the company. They assess our leadership because our leadership needs to be held accountable. And I'm going to tell you the truth. And I was speaking to Shinka about this not too long ago, is our Hinetter and Tepi, Jabari Ozazi, is a phenomenal leader. He knows his practice. He cannot be everywhere at all times, and not all the time are we satisfied with the amount of time that we have with them, right? And I did go out to New York, and I presented Hinetter and Tepi with a presentation, first and foremost, of MelaNation, this app, the concept, the idea. We broke bread. We had a great time. And I explained to him that we are going to be looking to hold our leaders accountable. That we shouldn't be afraid to say that we need to hold our leadership accountable, right? Yeah. Because those are the people who we're depending on. And I know they definitely need us as well as we need them. So MelaNation is taking that concept and deciding, okay, we're going to take the funding to make sure our leadership have the funding and the staffing that they need to delegate and make decisions on behalf of the whole. That is the concept. So again, the very first 800 people on this leaderboard here, the top 800 will be allowed to be assessors who basically assesses our leadership. So they're going to give a status to our leaders. And there are three things that we're holding our leaders accountable to. One, they're responsible to create new streams of income. They're responsible to create job opportunities for our community. And they're responsible to create social services. So we want to also provide social services because we have a lot of people that are in need. So those are the three metrics that we're going to be gauging our leadership with. And again, there are 42 delegates. The 42 delegates are elected by the users of the app. So there's a collective board here, and then there's a prime board. The prime board is specifically for melanated users. We're separating anyone who's not melanated from the ability to change the direction of our company. So only melanated users can be assessors. Only melanated users can be delegates. And you do have to verify before you can go onto the prime board. But the app is for everyone. Everyone is welcome onto the app. Again, there's a lot of entertainment on the app where you can stream movies. You can create videos. There's dating, where you actually be able to date, use your remote control on the television, and swipe left, swipe right, see the videos, profiles. There's a lot of features, and the features are going to continue to evolve. So that's what I want to say about the app. And I've gone 10 minutes over our general time. Does anyone have any questions before we move over to the MelaNomics segment?
No, I just wanted to say one unique thing with the app is that everything's right there. Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all those things. You don't have to go from one app to another and hop around. It's all right there, but it doesn't go by those names. It has a different name, but it's the same actions that you can take on it and do the same things.
One-stop shop. Yes, indeed. So
what I would like to add for our guests, I'm going to say that most of them are not members of MelaNation yet. Is that correct, Hootie?
this is not true. Everyone on here is on our messenger group. And again, there's no actual membership sign up, but this is the MelaNation family. One of the things that you discuss a lot is as far as the information propagating through the community. So not a lot of this information has propagated through the community. So That's why we're here, is to give out that information and connect all the people of MelaNation. But yes, this is our MelaNation family.
Okay. So my point is you to tell them how they can become a member, to join the MelaNation, that we have online, because we're starting to share more information to the members, to the communities on MelaNation, so that they can understand better what is going on as well. And I think that that's going to draw them to us once we start putting information out there, so that we could collectively understand where we're all going at the same time, if that makes sense.
That makes a lot of sense. So any viewers can join or can be, let's say, connect with MelaNation on a level that you have inside information through the messenger group. Our messenger group, you can connect with us. And if you're just looking to ask questions, there's several ways to ask questions. We do have our website, which is themelanation.co. You can go into the contact and you can send us a message to their email, info@melanation.co. But yes, everyone here is definitely family on multiple levels. So that being said, we do have 3 special guest speakers. And like I said, each of these speakers means something to me on a personal level. I'm going to ask a question, and if you can answer it from your perspective as an individual. But before I do that, let me touch on something that's close and dear to me, as far as the Kemetic committee. Okay, so this is going to be specifically for Shenka and Sin Jason. Can you, and like I said, the Kemetic committee, I will vouch that it is as official can get. It is something that is much needed in our community. It's a service being provided that I definitely love. It's in the first, beautiful. And this is something that I am honored to be a part of. Okay. But if you can speak on it as far as what it's in reference to, what it's about, and how it got started.
Okay, I can speak on it a little bit. Basically, we formed this committee. I mean, to be honest, we formed the committee because our shrine, in our opinion, was starting to become stagnant. And we felt like we understand that our hymnetter is a very busy person. He's a very busy man, but because of that, we felt as if he wasn't able at the time to give us the shrine the attention that it needed. So we took it up on ourselves to form this committee and to start doing things to help move the shrine forward. For example, our Sinet Shinka does she does an adoration and prayer session every Sunday morning around 8:30 Sinet. Myself and Senatan, we do a Sebait study every other Sunday in the evening. We do it in the evening now. We started doing it in the morning. But just things like that. We've got Sen Empu that's doing Medunetter studies. I think you all do that on Mondays. So basically, it's just a committee to help keep the shrine moving forward. We're just doing things. We're putting things in place to where our shrine members aren't feeling like they aren't getting the attention they need. They're not getting, getting the even the teaching. We don't really do much teaching. Like we say, we're not experts in this, but we feel like there's a lot of things that the shrine should be offering to the members that it wasn't offering. So we decided to step up and start offering some of those things ourselves. That's basically what it is.
So basically being the change.
Started doing it in the morning. Exactly. But just things like that. Right. What's the word you like to use from that Shinka? We're functionaries, right?
Functionaries. We call ourselves Saru.
We are the Saru, right?
Yeah, the Saru, which is functionaries. We are not authority. We basically are what we felt was necessary as we saw things unfolding and things needing to be, reconnected, regrounded. That is.
We feel like there's a lot of things that the shrine should be offering.
I'm not sure, there's an echo somewhere.
Yeah, let me go ahead and mute out some of these here really quick.
And that's what the committee pretty much is all about. We kind of do our best to stay up to date with what's going on with people and their families. You know what I mean? We make sure you don't have to be a Kemetic practitioner. If one of our members' families are going through something, we are there for support in that nature. My brother just went through something. I can't even tell you the outpouring of our entire shrine. I mean, it was beautiful, but that's pretty much what our job. We felt the need to make sure that there was something that was going to keep it, like he said, moving forward and running and functioning, and so that people who are getting on the African spirituality journey realize that they're not on that journey alone, because it can definitely feel like a lonely path when people are coming into knowledge of self or coming into their awakenings in many different forms. Whatever your spiritual walk is, as an African descendant, you come into this knowledge, and many people around you are not coming into it with you. You are, you know what I mean? So it's also to make sure that people don't feel left behind, that they definitely have a virtual hand to hold, because we're all over. So we're supportive for each other, and we keep each other grounded and encouraged to stay on our paths.
Ashe, beautiful. So we have an extra guiding hand for those who are in need. I do want to welcome Sin Adam Amin Ra, who's also part of the same committee. I haven't interacted with this person as much, but he is someone who I definitely have listened to, verbalize his perspective and different things, and I appreciate his commitment to uplifting our community. So Mr. Sin Adam Ra, if you can please introduce yourself.
Uncle Mai family, can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Two.
Uncle Mai, peace and backpack. First of all, forgive me for my tardiness. Today is my son's birthday, so I got kind of tied up in finishing up with the celebration for him. But like Sin Tahuti Forever said, I go by Senatan. I'm from Chicago. I'm a father and a husband. I've been a Kemetic practitioner for about 10 years. and a member of the Shrine of Ma'at for about 4 years. I'm a student of history and an avid visitor of museums all over the country. I would consider myself a self-taught historian, but definitely a Kemetic practitioner, and definitely thankful for some of these practitioners that you see here with us, because again, like Sanat Shinkar was just saying, this is a practice that we do together. So, and not just us in the shrine, but collectively as a community. So thank you for having me here, Sam.
You're definitely appreciated. Okay, so here's our first question here. And this question goes out to all four of our special guests. If you can just tell us your story. Now, my origin story, I'm going to be honest, and it starts with, the very first year I was introduced and my eyes were open to the more African spiritual centered perspective. I ran across my brother Benjamin. So that's where my story begins. Um, Brother Benjamin, if you can go ahead and tell us, how did you get into the culture that you currently practice?
Yes, sir. So, as a child, of course, I grew up a Christian, Church of God in Christ, and that's pretty much where it all began. And then I got older, moved to Tempe, 2010, and when I moved out here from Florida to Tempe, I was still a Christian. And then my second year out here, which was 2012, let's see, no. My fourth year out here, 2014, my homeboy called me. He had called me up, and he was like, "Hey man, I gotta tell you something." And he was like, "Jesus, which he said was Yahuwah. He was like, Yahuwah died for us, and he fulfilled the law. He didn't do away with it. So we should still follow the law." So then that was my journey from Christianity into Hebrew Israelite. And then I was in that for about 2 years, from 2014 to 2016. And I just went deeper into history. And I was like, okay, before the Abraham religions, um, we existed. And then that's when I started getting more into looking into Kemet, in which I eventually did visit Kemet in 2016. Um, and so I just completely walked away from like the Bible, even though I look at the Bible now deeper in terms of its esoteric science. But 2000, I would say 16 is when I started getting into more the ancient Kemetic science. And that was, I would say, the start of it there. And now I just say that I'm more spiritual um, in terms of following the laws of my yacht. And that, I would say, that's my origin story, from Christianity to Hebrew Israelite to more esoteric science now. So that's
Ashe,
it.
Ashe, Ashe. Now, you serve the community. I have to ask a follow-up question. You do serve the
Uh-huh.
community with
Mhm.
the health and wellness. Um, how has that impacted? And tell us about that experience.
Okay, let's see. So, so yeah, like I said it earlier, doing the Chinese medicine for about 14 years. And your question was again,
As
how,
far as your practice,
yeah,
because your practice affects the community.
yes.
So I'm asking you how. Well, you can just tell us your experience as far
Ah,
as your practice.
got it.
Right.
Got it. Okay. So in terms of how I fed the community, so my goal is pretty much to tell the people I come across that take your health into your own hands. Pretty much, you can go to the doctor and they can give you guidance, but for the most part, when I see that when people don't take their power of their health into their own hands, then they start to get hooked on pharmaceutical medications and pharmaceutical drugs. And so, what I've tend to tell people a lot is, hey, um, take your time, but slowly wean yourself off of the meat. Slowly wean yourself off of the sodas. If you are taking medications, try to ask your doctor if you could slowly get off of those and slowly get on the herbs. And I say, and whenever a doctor wants to point you towards having surgery, before doing surgery, maybe look into first going to a massage therapist to relax the muscles. Go to a chiropractor to get the body in the right alignment, and then go to an acupuncturist if you want to, so that we can like calm the nerves and calm the nervous system to help you go back into homeostasis. And then I say also, like, go to and I say for the most part, if I am talking to somebody melanated or black, go to a black practitioner. And I say, go to a black naturopath so that you can get your labs taken and that they can show you how to eat the proper diet, to eat the proper foods. And so that's what I have done in terms of trying to affect the community in a positive light, positive way.
Right. And then you are the acupuncturist, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I've never done that. I've always been interested in it, but I've never done that. That's a beautiful practice, and that helps people on a how does that work?
So I know the past few times I said Chinese medicine, but I do want to emphasize that this medicine, acupuncture, it came out of Kemet. There are actually pictures of them doing cupping
Yeah.
in the hieroglyphics. And so the Nab Keri priests, they left Egypt and they took these medicines out to the rest of Asia. But how the medicine works is we take a small needle and we go through the skin layer and to the muscle. And on top of the muscle is the fascia, which has the nervous system. And when we tap into the fascia, we're able to send signals to the body to tell it to heal itself. So for instance, if you have pain in your shoulder, I can put needles in your ankle or your wrist because those mirror image to the shoulder. If you have a headache, I can put a few needles in your hands and feet because the hands and feet mirror image to the head. And when I put the needles in, it's going to tell the body to release norepinephrine to dilate the blood vessels. It's going to increase blood flow. It's going to tell the body to release GABA and serotonin so that can help the body to relax. And overall, it helps the body to release beta endorphins. Beta endorphins are natural painkillers, and when the body releases those, that's how the body like reduces pain in terms of when acupuncture is done. So I just like to tell patients that if you name it, we can treat it. Autoimmune diseases, infertility, ED, digestive issues, whatever it is, we can treat it. And if we add in the herbs to it, if we add herbs, because food is the true medicine. When we add herbs in addition to the acupuncture, we can heal the body quite quicker, quite faster.
Ashe, beautiful, beautiful.
That is.
I can move on to Mr. Holmes. Sin Jason, my guy. What's your origin story? How did you get started in the culture? We're muted. Let's get unmuted here.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so growing up, I was always a very curious child. I was that kid that asked all the questions and where my mom had to constantly say, boy, shut up. And I was basically raised Christian, though my parents weren't very religious, and we were always free to choose for ourselves, myself and my siblings. I have a very diverse family when it comes to religion or spirituality. One of my brother that recently passed away, was a Moorish American, if you all know what that is. My eldest brother, who I didn't even meet until I was 11 years old, was a Hebrew Israelite. I came into, well, like I said, I was raised Christian, but we weren't very a religious family. I never really saw my parents go to church like that, but I remember that my dad could quote the Bible from front to back, just from his head. So that always, was fascinating to me. But raised as a Christian, I went to church all the time myself because I just wanted to be with my grandmother, who was devout Christian. But I didn't really care about what was going on in the church. I just wanted to be with my dear. So around the age of 11, around the age of 13, after meeting my oldest brother, who was the Hebrew Israelite, I started actually studying with him. I started studying the Hebrew tradition and, all of that. And he told me that, those Jews who with the little hats, they're not the real Jews, whatever. So I did that for about 2 years. And around the age of 15, I came into the awareness of Farrakhan through Public Enemy. I'm still a huge Public Enemy fan. I came into the awareness of Farrakhan from one verse, the follower of Farrakhan. Don't tell me that you know the man unless you hear the man, something like that. And so I started studying Islam. I studied Islam for probably a good 5 years. I never actually joined the nation. I did go to the mosque and study with them quite often. And I had a real good friend who was actually a member of he was part of the Fruit of Islam, but
why
he slipped me at when I was about 20. He slipped me a DVD, and I'm like, what is this, bro? He was like, just check it out. The DVD was actually I was a little older than 20 because this was like 95. So I was maybe 24. 23, 24. He slipped me a DVD. No, it was a VCR tape. And the VCR tape was a man named Dr. Ray Higgins.
Hey, shout out to Dr. Ray Higgins.
And being in St. Louis at the time, I knew nothing of Ray Higgins. In fact, the building that Ray Higgins had set up in was formerly my uncle's church. And I knew nothing of it, but I started listening to Ray, and I'm gonna tell you, for the first 4 or 5 years, I was like, this dude is nuts. Like, what is he talking about? Like, Egypt wasn't black people; those are Arabs. That was my, you know what I mean? That ain't got nothing to do with us. So it took me about a good 10 years to even really pay attention to it. But after that, I heard Dr. Ray actually tell his origin story about meeting a guy in a bookstore, and the guy was telling him, the real Jesus is a guy named Horus or whatever. Now, I was familiar with Horus, Osiris, and Isis. I didn't know much about them. But over those next few years, I'm one of those types. Once I'm interested in something, I dive fully in. I'm completely in it. So I dived into it, and I found an older brother in my neighborhood who I thought was Rastafarian, but he wasn't. He was a practitioner. He was more in the Ifa tradition, but he was a practitioner. And I started going to his house on the weekends and just talking to him about it. And but what really did it for me is when I learned about the ecumenical councils, when I learned about the Council of Nicaea and all of this, and this, by this time I'm in my 30s, and I'm like, you mean to tell me that there were groups of men that got together and decided what was going to be in the Bible and what people were going to believe and all of that? So my journey was a long one, but I still didn't dive fully in until maybe even 7-8 years after that. And that was actually after moving to Lincoln, Nebraska, being around all these white folks. I'm like, there's no way that we should be practicing the same spiritual system as they do, because I see their behavior, and I'll tell you, I was even married to a white woman for 14 years. 14 years, and it was in the middle of that marriage where I decided, you know what? I'm diving all the way in, and I was watching Sonetta, and I thought Sonetta was crazy too at first. I even thought Jabari was crazy. I'm like, these dudes are nuts, man. What are they talking about? But after doing my own studies, I'm a history buff myself. If I can go back at around the age of 16, I learned that my granddad was fought in World War II. And that sparked the history buff in me. So I started off studying just American history. And then I started getting into because I thought we were, listening to my brother, I thought we were the original Hebrews, which to some degree we necessarily aren't, but they were us. I'll put it like that. So I got into the history thing, and I started studying history like real heavy. And when I came into African history, no matter what history I studied about Africa, Kemet always came up. I could be studying the Zulus in South Africa. Kemet would always come up. So I'm like, what is this Kemet thing? Because the stuff I was reading didn't say Egypt. It actually said Kemet. So I'm like, let me figure this out. And then I ended up getting a book. Oh, what was the name of that book? Oh, gosh. It wasn't necessarily about Kemetic practice, but it led me to really take it seriously and stop thinking everybody that talked about Kemet were crazy. But after reading that, and then I read Spirituality Before Religions. That's what really did it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because
is that Kaba Kamene?
Yeah, that's Kaba Kamene.
Okay, he was on last week.
Yeah,
we probably last, right?
I was watching. I watched it later. I didn't watch it while he was on, but I did watch it later. But that book at that time made so much sense to me. Because to be honest with you, I never really went for the whole God created one man and man. You know what I mean? I never really went for that. So I just dove head first into it, and I was almost 40 at the time. So I pretty much I did my best to walk the walk on my own up until running into the Shrine of Ma'at. I didn't want to. I was gonna go and join the African village with Dr. Ray Hagan, but to be honest with you, for me, because I was one of those, I was angry by then.
Right.
I was angry at Christianity. I was angry at Islam because I'm like, these people lied to me my whole life. And for me, they were still too churchy for me. You know what I mean?
I wanted
no parts of anything that had to do with, I didn't even want to use the word God. Like I was over it. But that's how I came into this. It was a long process. It was a long process.
Sounds like it was a whole evolution. And like you were saying, Dr. Ray Hagan's story, his story was very impactful too.
Yes.
Saying that he was ready to fight. As a pastor, he was ready to fight when someone challenged him and said, hey, this stuff originates a lot further in history than what you give it credit to. So sometimes it's a abrupt wake up, and we don't know how to, like, our nervous system is not ready for it.
No.
And I do know I was very upset, and that's a common notion. When you find out that all of our history has been covered, whitewashed, and represented and repackaged and given back to us, you feel foolish, right? When you see the original, it makes you feel abused and it makes you feel foolish. And it's like, I've been here this amount of years and it's painful, right? Come opening your eyes when you have the actual evidence.
Yeah.
So I went through the same thing.
And that's the main thing about it. That's what really did it for me, because for a time there, I went back and I said, you know what? I'm going to study, and I'm going to read, and I'm going to prove that Christianity is right. That's what really did it for me. My goal was to prove Christianity as the one true religion. And in doing that, I found Kemet, and I found that I can't find Christianity really in history beyond 2,000 years ago, or not even that long ago. Christianity itself, but even Judaism, when I started seeing the parallels between Judaism and the ancient Kemetic practices, because there's a lot of them. We don't talk about that much. There are a lot of them. That's what really made me just go all the way. Like, yeah, I'm done. You know. Yep.
Dua. Sinet Shenka, can you tell us your superhero origin story?
Well, mine is not as extensive as that. The problem with me is I've always asked a lot of questions too. I've never been the following type of person, even from a little kid. Well, if it don't make dollars, it ain't gonna make sense. And I don't mean it physically as far as money, but it's got to add up. Even if I'm a little kid, it's got to add up. You can't just feed me rice and tell me I'm eating cake. You know, it won't work. I'll never forget going to Sunday school. Now, I grew up around a Christian family. My family wasn't all devout Christian, but majority, like my aunts and things like that, they were. So I spent a lot of time in the church and Sunday school, and I didn't really have a lot of exposure to Black culture, at least historical Black culture, African culture. I live in Virginia, right outside of DMV, right outside of DC. They call it the DMV. So our Blackness was afros. During that time, my parents, they would wear afro, but they didn't have any knowledge. You couldn't ask any of my parents who someone like Henry Clark was or anything like that. They wouldn't know any of those folks, you know what I mean? But they would know about the Panthers, and they would know about Malcolm X, just your basic stories. So I'll never forget in Sunday school asking the Sunday school teacher, well, if Jesus died for our sins, why are we born in sin then? It's all taken care of, right? Know that. And the only thing that people, especially this one, is it's in the Bible. The Bible says, said, well, didn't a man write the Bible? I'm 5 years old. And they don't want to hear these challenging questions. So without being able to give a tangible or legitimate answer, I've always had questions. I didn't hop from spirituality to spirituality. Not, nothing wrong with that. When you're on a journey to find self, you walk through a bunch of doors. But for me, I didn't first pick up a book. I bought a journal. And here's the same journal I'm talking about. If you can see it. It says the Book of Questions and Answers. So I dedicated myself to finding the answers to all of, I'll show you the book again. This is an old leather journal. It started out with a picture of me, and it says Life School, the Book of Questions and Answers. This book is over 20 years old. And it's questions of things that I would vow to find the answers to. And that's what I did. And I didn't know at the time that I was going to go on a journey to find myself, because that's typically what we all do. It's self-discovery. I remember being a little girl, and one of my mom's friends, I had no idea what Kemet was. And like St. Jason said, Egyptians, that's Arabian, or, things like that to me. All I can remember as a kid is walk like an Egyptian. I don't know if y'all remember that song, so but I remember my mom had a friend, and I think he was in with the Black Panther Party. I used to think I was a ninja. Never took a karate class. Never, but I grew up doing my own version of karate. So I thought I was a ninja as a kid. Well, this guy would be in my basement. He would come and spend time and stay in our basement. And he would be doing all these moves. I'd be on the stairs peeking around the corner, telling myself, that's my ninja master. I'm mimicking his move. I didn't know he was doing Kemetic yoga. I had no idea what any of that stuff was. So years down the line of me starting this book and finding those answers and looking for myself, eventually you notice that when you're looking for your people, they're looking for you too, even if you don't know it or they don't know it. I had gone down a rabbit hole, and what I found was some craziness, like he said. I didn't realize that there were so many Black folks who would fall for anything. Now, that's not judgmental, but it also made sense, because when you are stripped of your history, it's easy to fall for anything. You find yourselves finding the Malachi Z. Yorks, no offense, but crazy stuff to me. People that fall for will just follow another human being and put them on some kind of God stool. It just amazed me how people of my color, I didn't know that we existed, that fell for those types of things, or that joined cults and things like that. And it became scary. I wanted to know more, but not join. I just was like, this is some crazy mess, like, for real? Black folks that do this? Cults to me were like the Jim Jones and stuff. I didn't know that Black people did those things as well. So it kept me looking. And lo and behold, one day I came across a video of a little young dude talking mess on the stoop. And it's the man that you all mentioned in the beginning. That's Jamar Milton. Right. This dude, and excuse my French, I'm like, what is he talking about? And I'm listening to him, and he's just going ham, sitting on the porch, just talking, talking stuff. And then I start, looking, book of questions and answers. So I'm writing down some stuff so I can go find these answers. And I'm like, wow, okay, this is information that I had not heard of. So I started digging. And what led me mostly to Kemet is that when you remove the religious aspect, the principles of Ma'at, the virtues of Ma'at, they have not been changed since its creation. And I think that comes out of Ptah-hotep, maximum of Ptah-hotep. Might even be Amenemhet. Don't quote me on that, but it's definitely one of the instructions. Because those principles have been unchanged. And when you look at history, as far as we can confirm and prove to this date, the first person that ever existed was a Black person. I'm a Black person. So that's where I went, to where I could find the first concepts of morality. And I know that it existed. Kemet, there were concepts of morality before that. Kemet is kind of like DC, a mixing bowl of different Africans that came and brought their concepts. And so to me, it removed the religion part. It removed the tie back of it. It just became a moral code that's almost like natural, that doesn't have to be taught. Everybody knows moral code. Your DNA knows moral code. And for me, getting into that information is what resonated with me. It took away all of the fantasy, the pennies from heaven, and the different things. I would watch Black folks try to find, let's say you go to looking for a job. I would watch Black people I know, even my own family members, go out to get on the bus, scrape up change to get on the bus every day to go find a job. 20 interviews. And out of 20 interviews, one of those 20 called and offered them the job. What's the first thing that they said? Thank you, Jesus. Not giving the account that you got your behind up, you scrapped your change together, you did whatever it took for you to get out there to get that job. But you are giving credit to an outside entity. So it was something for me that needed to remove those outside fantasy powers and those types of things, and the spirituality and the God within ourselves that has those capabilities that we never give credit to. That's what led me to this way of life and doing the things that I do in my practices for yoni steaming. I have steamed women who have been raped, women who have been molested, women who have just gotten over abusive relationships. As a death doula, I have held the hands of dying family members allowing other family members to have space and to be able to take the time that they needed to fall apart. And it's not easy, but it's something that I've always done, even as a child. So it only made sense to be certified in it. And I think that it helps the sting of the modern life that we live in to be able to comfort people in their darkest times. So that's, as far as my practices go, that's what I do. And as far as the journey, it didn't start with, of course, now I read a lot of books. I wasn't into that before, but it started right here with this little leather journal of questions and answers.
Ashe. Dua. What I wanted to mention, Kemet is definitely a cultural shock. It always comes off as a cultural shock, but this is what I want to bring up, is the fact that the reason behind it, this information was buried for a very long time. It was something that was removed from us in ancient times, and then they continue to remove our culture, after the transatlantic slave trade. So they did everything to remove our ancestry from us, our tongues, our minds, and put us in a Eurocentric mindset. So, it's an unfortunate situation, but that's a mindset that can't exist when you're, coming into your awakening. It's going to come as a cultural shock. And I don't know how many times I've run across the information growing up, which it was just something I couldn't even see. It might have been right in front of me and I wouldn't even recognize it, or I'll write it off, because of where I was at in my head but the thing is this is something that was done to us in a systematic way. So I just wanted to bring that aspect up. But dua for your testimony. If we can move on to Sanatan, same question to you, sir. Tell us your origin story.
I would say that my origin story is similar to the ones that I've heard right tonight. It's a story of how I look at it as self-discovery, right? Like, I think one of the things that I've heard described here is about how we recognize something intuitive inside of us, but just don't have that level of understanding yet. And I think one of the important things that we should know is that it takes time in order to get to that understanding. So I think life and reality kind of plays out like that for a reason, right? You have to go through the experience of life in order to be able to understand what's really kind of been in front of you the whole time. But my story is similar to everyone else's. I started at a young age. I didn't grow up in a family that was spiritual or religious at all, right? Like, my family was just involved in ISFAT, right? Drugs and gangs and kind of stuff like that. But I think what kind of separated me a little bit and helped me along, I would say, were the two biggest influences in my life, which is my paternal grandmother and my maternal great grandmother. They were the biggest influences as far as my younger years growing up, because they taught me so much. My paternal grandmother was a devout atheist, right? Like, she was one of those people that said, listen, if you don't have any proof of what you're looking at, then we not going to just go along with what someone else believes. And my maternal great grandmother was the total opposite, right? Like, she drunk a beer and a whiskey all day long, but then, like Sinead Shinkai said, as soon as something went wrong, now it's, oh, Jesus. But dear, you ain't thought about Jesus all week until they just came around here and asked for the rent money. So it was a perspective for me that was, kind of interesting. It kind of made me view spirituality and the relationship with the creative force in a particular way. It always made me think that things need to be questioned, but then not only that, that faith is not just going to be the thing that's going to get you up out of this situation, right? And so through my younger years, what really sparked it for me is really was my interest in astronomy, right? Like I was interested in astronomy as a young child, and during one of my stays in a juvenile detention center, some people recognized that I had, some intelligence, and they would give me books, and they would go to the libraries and give me books and help me to develop my understanding of certain things. And it was that interest in astrology that led me to my study of Freemasonry and stuff, right? Like as a young age, I wasn't into religion or anything like that at all. Again, I was taught to question everything. So I had more of a mindset of atheism at 15, 16 years old. But so I was introduced to Freemasonry. And for a long time, my study was, more along the occult line of things, right? Just looking at esoteric things, but not even necessarily from a spiritual standpoint, but more so from, I would say, the point that that the Freemasons understand it from a European standpoint of it, right? So throughout my life, I've been blessed to be able to run across and be introduced to some individuals who, with no extra skills or extra skill sets or anything like that, who helped me to come to an understanding of who I am. And by that I mean, so for instance, during my last and final stay in prison, I met a brother who introduced me to deep esoteric thought, right? Like he was a Freemason, and he introduced me, because at this point in my life I had done so much study on so many subjects, that it kind of introduced me to the deeper underlying philosophical meanings of Freemasonry and things like that. And one of the things that during this last prison stay, one of the things that I really wanted to do was really to kind of change the trajectory of my life, right? I told myself that this is not the life that I wanted to live anymore. I want to change the way I go about doing things. And so when I was able to have the opportunity to get back into my studies in the free world and things like that, as I began to get back into the study of the occult, I started to realize how much of their symbolism and their philosophy is based on ancient African philosophy, right? Up until that point, even though I had a clear understanding of the significance of the African in history, I think it didn't click to me until I started to realize kind of like who I really was and my potential, right? Like I had to kind of make the connection and understand that, these things are actually possible by people just like me, right? Like it don't take a super saiyan. We don't need a super saiyan to do this, but it just takes a person with morals, character, value, and things of that nature in order to, live a life in mind and truth. And so when I realized that's the real separation, I think, from the European understanding of ancient African sciences as opposed to the way Africans viewed it. Once I started viewing these things from an African viewpoint, then I started to understand how they connected with me and how important it was for me to not only revere the traditions of my ancestors, but not only that, to duplicate them, right? Because obviously they worked for them. So if I want to have a life that's moral, that's just, that people love me and things of that nature, then obviously I should take some from some of the lessons that were left before me, and that's what kind of led me to being a Kemetic practitioner, maybe roughly about 10 years ago. And it was really through self-taught practitioner, learning, listening to lectures, studying, reading, and things of that nature. But I had got to a point to where I felt like it's similar to the quote where you'll hear people say that knowledge is power, right? But we believe that that's actually false. We believe that applied knowledge is power, right?
Okay.
So you can have all the knowledge you need, but I mean, I can know how to go build a house from sticks and stones, but if I don't actually go out and build houses, it doesn't do anybody any good. So I felt like I was sitting here learning. I'm learning this. I'm going to the museum. I'm doing private museum tours, which I've been doing probably for the past 8 years, just insular with the people around me who know me, who want to learn. People reach out to me and things of that nature. But again, like I said, over the some years back, I kind of realized that that's a piece that I was missing from my own my walk, was the community, right? Was the family, right? Those people who can help me to get through this walk, those people who can stand as examples, who not only can hold me accountable, but can also set benchmarks and things of that nature. And I think for me, that has really made the difference in my walk as a Kemetic practitioner, was being able to join a shrine of like-minded individuals where we can kind of make sense of this, together, right? Again, like I say, where we are able to look at these concepts and be able to come to an understanding of how we can apply these concepts in our everyday life, because this is the most important thing for us as Kemetic practitioners, right? Is how do we apply the moral, ethical, economical, the community code that Africans were able to practice for, and at least if we're just talking about Kemet, at least 3,000 years that they were able to sustain their community, right? Like, and it's important that we look at that when we talk about these 3,000 years and these dynasties, because what we're really talking about are family groups, right? So when we think about this, right, if you think about a plan that's being passed down from grandfather to son to grandson to great grandson, these things require an extremely acute ability to plan economically in a number of different ways, right? That you can, that you have to think about how you would have to plan this out in order to make sure that the goals are reached way past from and you have to think about the foresight of these Africans, because they're planning for things that are going to be happening way past their death, right? We talking about, I'm planning for things that's going to happen after my grandkids die. So it's important for us to be able to look at that example and use that as a benchmark. And so again, for me, that's kind of how my journey has been. It's been like a full circle look in the mirror, right? Like I said, it's more of coming to an understanding of what I always knew, but just not having the experience or the level of understanding to kind of make sense of it. And so at this point in my life, that's what I'm doing, right? Trying to do the best that I can to uphold a moral code, an ethical code to be a man of my word, to live in my odds, so that I can be an ancestor, in a sense that when I die, my children love me and they continue to hold dear the values that I gave them, to the point that they will continue those legacies. And then not only that, so that I will be in the embrace of my ancestors that I love and miss so much. Those are the goals that I think are most important to me. So that's been my journey in life.
Dua. You spoke very elegantly, and you mentioned so many topics. Like, I just wanted to go in and ask so many questions about some of the topics that you mentioned. And I do know that on your own, you've provided services as far as because I've heard through the grapevine that you were taking people to different museums and different things, and you showed, you were able to give those insights to the different people there. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, for the past 10 years, I've been doing tours at museums here in Chicago. Again, it's mostly with family, friends, some outside community members, but it's something that's going to be more public and broadcast here in the upcoming time. But there are two major museums in the city of Chicago that I visit. One is the Institute for the Study of Ancient Culture, which was formerly known as the Oriental Institute, which we can argue is the home and the birthplace of European Egyptology. Not only that, this museum houses some of the most important artifacts in African history, just sitting there haphazardly, and a lot of people don't know about them. So I like to make sure that that people who are in Chicago, from Chicago, they come visit here, I make sure that we go to the Oriental Institute and look at some of these artifacts. One of those artifacts, or the artifact that I'm actually mentioning, is the Custal incense burner. And that incense burner is an extremely important part of African culture, especially when you talk about Kemetic culture, because this artifact proves that the culture that the ancient Kemetics, or quote unquote Egyptians, practice was given to them from their ancestors in the South. And so this is extremely important because we know that Egyptologists like to put Egypt in the Middle East as opposed to being in Africa. And it's important that we know about this because, and especially in this artifact, because this artifact was hidden from the public for so many years, right? Like they hid it. They knew what they had and they hid it. And only after the person that found it passed away, there was a fight in order for it to be able to be put on display. Right. And now it's on display, but people don't necessarily understand the significance of it when you see it, because most people will walk past it. And also, just quickly, there's another museum, the Field Museum in Chicago is an extremely important museum as well, because it houses parts of the 5th dynasty, Nasut Unas. It holds part of his pyramid, or his Merkut inside, which actually contain parts of the pyramid text, which is some of the text where some of the origin text for Christianity. They have a recreation of his tomb, which is awesome. And definitely, if you ever in Chicago or visit here, you should definitely see it. When we had our Shimshu Heru reunion in Chicago 2 years back, St. Jason was there. We visited both those museums, and they were awesome. And so the reason why I think going to the museum is extremely important is because it's one thing to look at these artifacts in a book, and it's one thing to understand. But I'm gonna tell you, you go to the museum and you touch these things, you get the energy. You look at some of these artifacts in stone and look at the difficulty that it would take in order to do some of these pots that we find from Nubia and things of that nature. And it makes you contemplate the level of intelligence and the high level of society that these ancient people would have to even have the time to put that much into that craft. And so again, when we do these things, it's almost like, again, coming face to face and understanding that the people that did these things are us. So we are capable of reproducing these same works. And that's why it's important for us to go see those works so we know what our capabilities are.
Dua. This is true. Representation is everything. We got to see ourselves as our greatness by looking at the things that we've done. So generally, we would have gone over 10 minutes of this session. But because we have a larger panel, we did the first question. I got 20 more. We're not going to do any of those other questions. I do have two things I want to discuss before we end. And the questions are going to be open to the whole panelists tonight. Before I ask those final two questions, I want to involve the co-hosts. Okay, the co-hosts are not necessarily Kemetic practitioners. However, if you have any questions from what you've heard thus far, Ms. Lizzie, Ms. Janvier, go ahead and ask any questions that you may have to the Kemetic practitioners that are in our panel.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Lizzie.
Okay. Very, very interesting conversation. This is totally beyond my wildest dream, as they say, because I know nothing about it. And I'm sorry that I have to say that, but I do not. My question is, how does Kemet fits into MelaNation? How does that mesh?
Well, that sounds like a question I might have to answer myself. So we are, because of our ancestors, we are our ancestors. And like Senator Atan said, we have to see our greatness. Seeing our greatness and a fulfillment of what our ancestors put forth. There's been a lot of people in history that had to sacrifice and struggle for us to get to where we are. One of the things that I've heard, a common theme that everyone spoke about in their origin story, one, I've found out, the time frame is within a couple of years of each other, right? And I thought that was amazing, right? But the fact that when it was given to us originally, we might not have been able to digest it because of our mindset wasn't in the appropriate place, right? So MelaNation is in reference to bringing forth Sankofa, right? Remember Sankofa? So everything that's part of us to who we are, our core goes all the way back through our history. It's in our genes, it's in our DNA. We've got very powerful people here on this panel today. We got the doula, we got the healer, we got Senator, he's giving the information through the museums. And these are different ways to address our culture and our power and our greatness. And that's what MelaNation is all about, is putting forth that greatness. So by looking at the panelists here, that just shows the power that we have. And I'm just so appreciative that everyone is here on the panel, right? And it's not something that's done sporadically. This is something that was meant, right? This is something that everyone here has done their work, and they've shown up because they have something to offer. So I'd say that is how Kemet, as far as a cultural background and the greatness in our people, and how it takes a certain elevation and a certain discernment, right, to actually gain the access to it, because it's so hidden from us and obscured, right? So we want that type of empowerment in MelaNation. That's what MelaNation is all about.
Can I just add to what you're saying, Senator Hootie?
Yes, sir.
I just want to add that I think another thing that comedic practitioners or the Kemet can bring to MelaNation is that culture of morality, right? Like there's a certain moral code that we try to adhere by and we live to, right? Now, we don't consider ourselves perfect, right? Like we understand that there's mistakes to be made. We take the take the good with the bad, so to speak, but we understand that that everything is done in balance in my art. And so I think that having that moral code of integrity, accountability and things of that nature will help to strengthen the movement with people of good quality stock, so to speak.
I say.
Can I add a little to that as well?
Please do.
Not only to piggyback off of what you both said, but also seeing that Kemet reigned for 3,000 years and was such a successful civilization. I mean, our ancestors, they were mathematicians, they were astrologists, they were physicians, they were, healers of all kind. And just like you mentioned, Sankofa, which means go back and get it, go back and fetch it. If we are to create MelaNation app, for it to go the distance and for it to be able to reach so many Black folks, African descendants across this country, across the world, eventually, it is important that we incorporate, while doing that, while building something like that, incorporate something from our ancient ancestors that shows the success. You know what I mean? There's a lot of recent African failures you could look at, but you would want to emphasize on the success, especially of our ancient culture. So to bring those concepts into modern day time, and again, we're talking about a culture that succeeded for 3,000 years. What better to grow something such as MelaNation? Not only the key word melanation, so these are African descendants that are now going to be bringing ancient concepts into this modern time so that it too can be an empire that reigns for thousands of years.
Right. That being said, the most successful people on the planet who, just basically bum rushed the planet and took it over and enslaved us, their success came out of understanding Kemet and taking advantage of our culture and feeding it back to us. Right. So it is a tool of empowerment, and we're just taking it back for ourselves. And Jason, if you want to touch on the subject.
Well, I would just say that, like you just said, their success was based on our history. Like even in their colleges and universities now, you're getting a repackaged version of our history in many cases. Our history, I mean, especially the Kemetic people, you got to think 3,000 years. What did it take to maintain a society for that long? You know what I mean? And this is their goal. This is what they're trying to recreate, but with their mind state, with their mentality as the forefront. But I think with the study and learning more about Kemet, it'll give us a good idea of how to go forward in any in any kind of undertaking that we're embarking on.
True.
You know what I mean? We can, like they just spoke about the moral part of it, but there was also the educational part of it. And I think MelaNation app can be a big part of that in spreading that, and because that's kind of what I do. I consider myself a bit of a history teacher. I love talking about history with younger people. A little harder to get older, grown-ups to listen unless they're already interested. But I think with these teachings being put on a platform like MelaNation, I think it could reach a much broader audience and bring more knowledge about our history and our original cultures to our people. So I think that would be a great benefit for the people itself, but I think that could be a big part of this MelaNation app as well.
Twaul, Twaul. I don't know if you want to speak on that, Benjamin.
Yeah, I do want to say something real quick. So when I think about Kemet, I think about the golden age. And when I think about the golden age, I think about high technology that flow with nature. We currently live in a system of white supremacy which goes completely against nature. And so if MelaNation takes on Kemet and takes on flowing back with nature, flowing back with proper culture, we will be able to defeat this white supremacy system, because they have polluted the air, polluted the water, polluted the food, polluted politics. They haven't. There's nothing that they left untouched, and the only way we can get through this and get back to our rightful place if we take on the mother, father, child, when we get back to that proper culture. And so
Yes,
that's how I
indeed.
believe Kemet ties back to MelaNation.
Yep. Yeah, and Sinadin was on point when he basically said that we have to have proper representation, right? And this is one of the flowers of the high point when we were in charge and flowing with nature, like Brother Benjamin said. So they have certain skill sets, tools, and it's already a game plan is already laid out for us, basically, right? For success. That's what we're all basically saying. The game plan, it's already been proven over and over again, thousands and thousands of years, right? And now we're unfortunately going against nature, and we now have a Western mindset that has left out some of those innate, natural aspects of ourselves that we tap back into ourselves, and we can become the full form of our greatness. Is there another question? Does anyone else have a Ms. Janvier?
Well, I was going to say, I've heard a few of them talk about the laws of Mayat. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people haven't heard that. And what does it mean? And
Anyone want to touch on that?
Sure. Technically, there's no such thing as the laws of Ma'at. That's a modern terminology. There are the 42 declarations of innocence. Ma'at's not technically a part of that. However, Ma'at is the moral concept, moral code of order that all practitioners follow. So it's often termed the 42 laws of Ma'at, but it's really no such thing as the 42 laws of Ma'at. It's really the 42 declarations of innocence. Ma'at's principles vary. We can identify 7, but there are many more, such as truth, reciprocity, righteousness, justice, order, balance. Now, those are the moral concepts or codes that were put into place at the beginning of time when the Creator was creating. Ma'at was in place at the same time. So that when we refer to the 42 laws of Ma'at, it's a term that we use, but it's not a true statement. There's no such thing as the 42 laws of Ma'at.
Right. Yeah.
Add on to that, Sinjahudi, real quick. Okay, yeah, we know everybody does call them the 42 laws of Ma'at. The way I look at them and the way I actually use them is that there are 42 declarations that we make. So what I do is in the morning, I state those declarations. But in the morning, I say, I will not do these particular things. And then when I'm getting ready to go to bed at night after I perform my rituals and whatever, I would like to state those declarations and say I have not. Now, of course, we're all human. There's no way we're going to be able to say we have not done all 42 things every day. However, that is the goal, is to make it through your day and not commit any of those transgressions. So I think people get that mixed up, but that's how I use them.
Right.
Okay.
I do want to, while we're on the 42, let me mention this. I know someone would like to speak on Sanatan. If you can expand on why do we call them laws? What's the difference between why we don't call them laws?
I think the biggest difference in why they're not referred to as laws is because a law is something that's given to you that you have to follow. It's something that's authoritative by someone outside of you. We refer to them as negative confessions in the sense that we take responsibility for them, right? Like these are moral and ethical codes that we take responsibility for living by. So like Jason said, again, we know we're not perfect, but we begin with doing our best to try not to do these things. But at the end of the day, if we have done these things, then we understand that we have to do what's called Saruj Ma'at and balance the scales, right? We have to do we understand that that we're not good all the time and that there is some bad in people, if you won't necessarily call it bad, but we wouldn't call it bad, just the opposite, right? And so again, as Senator Hootie was saying, the biggest difference in not calling them laws is your ability to take responsibility for them yourselves, right? Like this is you are your own judge, right? This is what the ancestors teach, right? Like when it comes down to judgment time and to make confession about the things that you have done, you have to look in the mirror and reconcile with yourself. And so this is it sounds mundane, but in action and practice is something that can be difficult, but at the same time revealing. And so having that aspect of it to where you take ownership of it is the big difference. And one of the things that we want to remember too is that this moral and ethical code, we can argue later became the moral and ethical code for Christianity, known as the Ten Commandments. But even that's a conversation for another day. But again, that's a way that you can look at it. It's a moral and ethical code that you take responsibility for, as opposed to the Ten Commandments where the law is given to you.
Sure.
Yeah, and I was going to say, when I first heard it, I thought of the Ten Commandments. Then I found out it was in the pyramids before the Ten Commandments was given. And then you can see how the world has taken things that melanated people have done and changed it around and say they're the ones who did it. And so when I saw that, I'm like, wow, how did that happen? It says, thou shalt not kill in the Bible. And then the 42 laws of Mayat say, I will not, right?
Right. If I can say real quick, that's the difference is in that wording right there. That's where the difference lies. With Ma'at, you're responsible. There's no thou shalt not, or there's no one telling you can't do these things. You have to take it up on yourself and put it in your heart that you don't want to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest difference there. And not only with the Ten Commandments, but you can find those declarations in the Code of Hammurabi. You can find just about any earlier moral codes you can come across, especially out of what they call the Middle Eastern world. You can find and they all got it from Ma'at. They all did. There's no doubt about it.
Tualu.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, since I'm not a practitioner of Ma'at or Kemet, how does, what my thoughts and ideas are, how does that fit in? How are they judged?
Ooh, that's a deep one. That's a deep one there.
That's a really
Well,
good.
so repeat that. I don't think I heard very well.
She's asking, so she has a spirit, right? And her spirit has its own ways of doing things, thoughts, ideas, concepts. And she's saying, how do you weigh these things?
Well, in my mind, I would think that everything has a science to it, your spirit, the world, everything. And so it's on a level of doing things that you are supposed to do, the way it's supposed to be done. Everybody is supposed to follow that. I don't know if that makes sense.
I would say, in the way I would view it, through my understanding, is that spirit is a reflection of yourself, right? So with that reflection, again, that weighing is more of a reconciliation, so to speak, right? Because like we just said, what the African ancestors said is that you will be your own judge in the end. So not only do you judge spirit, but spirit judges you as well. And both of these are aspects of yourself that are on two different ends of the scale. And so if we look at the concept of the judgment scene, where your heart is weighed against the feather of Ma'at in truth, we understand that the essence of that heart, that unseen spirit, kind of lies within that judgment as well. Because again, because you're judging yourself, and that essence is in that ob, or in that heart, the core values of who you are, so to speak, is what's being judged as a totality, if that makes sense.
So when you said that, about the heart and the feather, your heart tells on you, right?
Exactly.
Heart is heavy. I mean, you can also look at it like, you don't have to be a Kemetic practitioner to realize that it's something I always talk about. At the end of the day, when you lay your head down on that pillow, are you okay with who you are? And the person next to you don't have to be okay with you. Your family don't have to be okay with you, but are you okay with who you are? Because you might not get an opportunity to open your eyes the next day. And if you do, you have to make it right. You're the only one responsible for that. That's how you're weighed, and that's how you're judged. And it doesn't matter if you're a Christian, if you're a Kemetic practitioner, what your spiritual background is. When you close your eyes, you do your best to make sure you're okay with who you are. Mm-hmm. Nobody else can vouch for you. Only you can. Only you know if you're okay with yourself. So before you close your eyes, the goal of that, like he said, he recites those I will not in the morning. The goal before laying that head to rest each night is to be okay with who you are. Be better than okay with who you are. Exactly. Love who you are.
Let me just say this. I do apologize. That's not exactly my question was, since I'm not Kemet in the Kemet ideology. I'm just a regular person. I'm asking, how does my ideas and thought get reviewed in
Yes.
in
Okay.
what
Okay.
I feel, what my
Okay.
suggestions
As
are.
a
Give me one
non-practitioner,
moment. So I definitely want to hear from Benjamin and Jason. I definitely want to answer this same exact question. This is a very fundamental question. And I also want to speak on it. But that's all I was going to say. Everyone on the panel, please answer this question. Okay, Jason.
Okay, so I think there's a I can't remember whether it's something in the Bible, but I know there's something in the spirit in the Christian tradition that says, and I'm paraphrasing, something about if you commit a sin in your mind, then that's just like like physically committing the act.
Yeah.
And I think that's somewhat valid, but I believe, and this goes to your question, sister. I think if that transgression is truly in your heart, if that's truly who you are, then yeah, that's going to be judged. That's going to be judged. Now, there can be situational things that cause your heart to be that way. Let's just say someone does something wrong to you or your family, and in your heart, you want to go do something to that person. You know, I mean, I can't say that's a cause for forgiveness or anything, but I do believe, I think you got a real good point, sister. I do believe there is, you do take responsibility for your ideas and thoughts also. And that's why the heart is weighed in the judgment, because what's in your heart, you can't hide. That's there. It's going to be there. So that's all I really want to add to that. Benjamin, you can go ahead. But yeah, I think you're right, sister. I think there is some type of, you're held accountable for what's in your heart, your thoughts and your ideas.
Oh, absolutely.
I want to make sure that I'm clear on her question, though. Are you saying that if you're just a regular person, not a Kemetic practitioner, how do your ideas and thoughts contribute to melanation, or?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes.
now I get it. I think I understand the question. I get it. I think I get it.
Yeah.
I don't know whether or not melanation is solely Kemetic.
It's not.
I wouldn't imagine so. I would think that your ideas as a melanated person
Right.
is what contributes to MelaNation apps. Now, we're Kemetic practitioners here.
That was what I wanted to get.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, I had to hear it again. I don't think it was in reference to but I think that being a melanated person, whatever your spiritual background is,
absolutely, that's what I wanted to hear.
I would assume that as a Black person, Black American, African descendant, whatever you want, whatever we call it, we're all looking to get to the same destination. Salvation, economic power, healing, all of those things, resources, all of the things that African Americans, African people need. So you don't have to be a Kemetic practitioner to contribute to that. You're a melanated person who has experience in this country, so you have something to bring to the table.
Exactly.
And that's what drew me.
I heard the question again, and I'm like, wait a minute. I think I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
We should apologize for getting your question totally wrong, sister.
When she repeated
yes,
it,
I do.
When she was like, "That's not what I'm asking," I'm like, "Oh, I think she's saying." Okay.
Let me explain this to you. As Kemetic practitioners, we don't proselytize. We don't try to get people to come into our way of doing things. We respect everybody's spiritual walk. We don't do that. You won't see us out, like you see people, hey, come go to my temple, my shrine, and do that. We don't do that. You have to hear the call yourself.
And that's what I wanted to hear for the other people that are listening, to get some clarity.
Yeah, so, we don't do that, and we like I said, we respect all spiritual walks. It doesn't matter. We may not necessarily agree, but we're all Black people. We basically all have the same goal, and that's liberation across the board.
That's right.
across the board. We don't care what you know, who you pray to or who you, none of that. We don't care about any of that, and we don't try to get people to join us. We don't do that. But yeah, again, I apologize because we totally misunderstood your question.
So I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little frustrated because I love that question, the original question that I heard, right? But I'm glad that we aired that out. A lot of people don't understand because when they look at Kemet, they see it as a religion, or they see it in certain ways, and then they adapt it to the religions and things that they know of today, where you have to be, you have to join, or you're gonna burn in hell, or if you don't, that is not anywhere near the mind of a Kemetic person.
No. This is MelaNation App.
Yeah, and it's definitely not in the mind of MelaNation App. So being a Kemetic practitioner, and when I see the Kemetic family, I already understand that. So your question is very valid to people who don't understand the culture. The culture is not one of confrontation, is not one of, now, if you do want to learn history, by all means, but if you don't, to each his own, right? And we like Sin Jason said, MelaNation is not a Kemetic app. It's not called Kemet. In fact, the reason why it's called MelaNation is to have an umbrella that encompasses the diaspora. The reason why we were ever even suppressed in systematic oppression, going through the Maafa, redlined, help me out, y'all, systematic racism, all of these things happen because of one reason. They called it the one drop rule, right? One drop of what? Black is not a thing, right? Black is not a thing. What they're saying is one drop of melanin. Yeah. Melanin is the one single thing that was focused on that put us all in the same group, right? They created something called black. And this is something that I'm really, personally, I'm going to talk about a lot, is the fact that we shouldn't call ourselves black, right? And the reason being is because that's a social construct that was designed for one reason. There's no such thing as a black person. They created the term black. They cloned the term black specifically to oppress a people. That was the reason black was ever invented, right? There was no such thing as black prior to systematic racism and the transatlantic slave trade. They made that up to dump us in the same bucket. It doesn't matter if you're Nigerian, Moorish, it doesn't matter, none of that stuff. No, your religion didn't matter. If you had one drop of melanin, then they said, okay, now you're black. And then they was like, okay, well, we're white. White means that I can be a slave master. I'm potentially the slave master. Black means you're potentially enslaved. Then they started rolling other nations into whiteness, right? So that they can, none of this stuff makes sense. And then in the 60s, we turned it around and was like, nah, that's a term of endearment. I'm black and I'm proud. Well, what does the name nigger? What does nigger mean? Negro. That just means black. In Latin, it just means black. The problem is the concept of black. It don't matter what language you say it, nigger, Negro, or black. It's the same concept. And the concept is 3/5 of a person, right? So I'm against taking that term and using it as a term of endearment. I love, James Brown is cool. And I love the term because I grew up in that term. But the thing is it's not a natural state of person. It doesn't represent us as a culture. It gives us no leverage, and it's part of systematic racism. I don't remember how I got on that, but yeah.
And to add to that, you're exactly right. It was created to oppress us, and the term white was created to separate us even more, because the reason these things were created at that time in the 1600s was because the enslaved African, and the poor whites were actually coming together. They were coming together to go against the, you know, the higher ups, for lack of a better term. So they created this to separate them and keep them from being that strong hand. So, but
yeah. So let's go ahead and move to the final two questions. You know, the thing is the panel is so powerful. This is one of my favorite sessions, and I really wish we just can just keep going. And I know we can. I'm in Arizona. It's only 8:14, so I'm good. But
it's a long night. I gotta get ready.
There are two questions that I really want to submit to this panel. It's more a conversation as far as, can you tell us what is your perspective of our people today? Where are we at overall as a people today? So I would like the conversation to focus on that. Who wants to go first?
I can go first. I feel like we're kind of at a crossroads. Sometimes, and I guess it depends on who I'm around or who I'm talking with at the moment. Sometimes it feels like we're making these giant leaps forward toward what we want. And then sometimes I look and it seems like we're taking the giant steps backwards. I guess it just depends on who I'm dealing with at the time. Economically, we look like we're moving forward. It looks like it. But what are we doing economically for ourselves as a nation or as a people? In that aspect, we're actually moving backwards because we have more money and resources, but all we do is give it back. That's what we do. I'm watching this.
Our oppressors.
Yeah, that's what we do. I'm looking at this this whole Asian boycott thing, and I'm seeing two sides of that. You got a whole group of melanated people saying, yeah, we need to do this. We need to boycott everything of theirs. And then you got a whole other section totally fighting against that. Like, we are so addicted to things. You know what I mean? We're so addicted to things. And it reminds me of the movie White Men Can't Jump. We'd rather look good and lose than actually struggle to win. So I'm that's where I'm at with it. I mean, not just economically, even morally. Sometimes we look like we're moving forward. Sometimes it looks like we're moving backwards. So that's pretty much where I'm at with it.
Dua.
I wish I had some solutions. Well, I do have some solutions, but to get the masses of our people.
That's the next question. That comes up in the next question.
Let me just stop there.
Okay, who's up next? What is the condition of our status of our people?
I'll go next. Personally, how I feel, I'm feeling good about the status of our people because how white supremacy is showing up. Like, we're forced now to be with each other, to speak to each other, to like work together. Like, there's no more excuse now of like we're all equal. Like, there's no more excuse of thinking that. We actually can clearly see now like white supremacy. So I from that side of it, I am feeling good about us now finally working together. Now, on the other side, the relationship side, relationships, Black marriage, I think we kind of struggling a little bit there. And there is a lot of bickering going on between the genders. That's only my negative opinion right there. But I would say that's my answer is relationship wise, it's not looking too good in terms of the fighting between the genders. But in terms of Black people working together, we are being more forced to come together. That's my answer.
Okay. Dua. All right, who's up?
I can go ahead. I think that for us, we have a unique opportunity for us, right? That kind of, and I wouldn't say just one specific day or time, but I think this kind of season is unique for us because I think that we know who we are now, right? Like I think it's no secret anymore to even to anyone, right? To any melanated person, they know who they are. They know where they come from and things of that nature. I think it's important that we start to define the things that we value and hold important and start setting the benchmarks and things for ourselves. Stop going off what someone else is telling us is important to us and find out what's important to us and reach for those goals. Because again, right, like I said, we realize who we are. We know that the black woman is God. We know that can't nobody mess with the black man. We know that the black child is the future. They know when we come together collectively in our cliques, in our tribes, we come together, we can make things happen. But again, we are not applying our knowledge, right? We are allowing someone else to have us use our energy for something that doesn't benefit us at all. When we should be again set the precedence for what we want and what's important to us collectively, and that's where we are able to capitalize. So again, my answer would say I would see us being in a place for a unique opportunity to where we have the ability to create a reality for ourselves that doesn't include oppressors. If we're able to, again, learn what makes us happy, first as individuals, then collectively as a whole.
I say, dua. And Sinette?
I agree that we definitely know who we are now. It's everywhere. We definitely know who we are. We've come into, even the younger generation has come into information, so much information out there now that it's everywhere you look. Um, I won't even say that they know who we are. They've always known who we are. We just didn't. And now we do. Um, with that being said, I still see, and granted, I see that we've come a long way. However, I still see a lot of the, I would say, what you could say is fast food restaurant style of living, drive through window style of living. And I don't mean just the food, because we have been out of touch so long. Convenience has become such a huge thing. So versus spending dollars in the black business, you'll go down the street. So it's cool. You say boycott, like he said, boycott the Asian places. Well, you're not going to spend your dollars in the black places. You're not, instead of, because it's an hour away or however long away, you're not, so yes, we do have the knowledge, but again, like Senator said, we must apply that knowledge now. We have to galvanize our dollars. And that's really, in this country, the biggest thing that we need to do is to galvanize our dollars and reinvest into ourselves so that money can cycle from us to us.
Yes, indeed. Miss Lizzie Woody, this question is really going to go out to you and you too, Mom. The question is, this is not a Kemetic question. This is a question of where we are as today as a people, right? So that means this question goes out to you two as well. But I'll answer first, and then if you guys can touch on it as well. I like the sentiment that was given out. I don't 100% agree for the most part. Only because we've definitely come into a lot of knowledge and information, but I don't know how far that extends to the general public. Now, I've been in study with Gershon Williams. He's a professor here in Arizona. And the thing is once you touch into our history and our knowledge, it seems like we cannot fail. That's what it just seems. How can you fail? Right? If you go back into our 60s, if you go back to the 20s, Marcus Garvey, We're not there. We're not there where we were in the 20s and the 30s and 40s and the 60s. We are not there. Now, economically, like St. Jason was saying, we spend $2 trillion a year, right? So we have the power economically, but if we look throughout history, can I say we move forward or we're coming together or not based on our history, right? And from my perspective, a lot of people might believe it takes a traumatic event, George Floyd or something for us to come together. That helps a small movement for a portion of time. But when we look at our history and we come into knowledge of our history and we see when we were at our top, that is what we need. We need knowledge of ourselves and to come together under that light. And that's why Mela News is so important. Mela News is so important is because we're able to give out the information from our own personal perspective, right? But I like the sentiment that we're awakening. And like everyone said, I don't remember exactly the years that you discussed when you're talking about your origin story, but we're pretty close to the same years, right? So I do see that there is knowledge, an awakening coming, and I agree with that. I don't know how far it's gone, but I don't believe we are where we were in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. I don't think we're there. Go ahead, Senator.
I concur with you 100%, Senator Hootie. But I think one of the peculiar things that we have to take into consideration, and it may almost be disheartening, but I think the reality is that everybody is not supposed to be awake, right? Like everybody doesn't get to come. Everybody doesn't get a ticket. If you haven't done the work and you haven't, done the things that you need to do, then I don't want to say fall to the wayside to make it sound like you unimportant. But if we look at the concept of becoming Ma'ake, again, we understand you don't just be an ancestor because you die. Everybody die. But you don't just become an ancestor because you die. It's about the things you do within your life that make the people who you've left behind still revere you enough to call your name. And then not only that, you've proven to me Ma'ake. So again, and as much as I think, as much as I would love, right? Like I think if the whole diaspora came together towards one goal or even something similar to that, but I think in our nature, really, with us being tribal and things, kind of like that, I think it's something that we would have to kind of like broaden as far as how we can go about making sense of that. But again, like I said, I agree with you 100%, right? Yeah. But to that, I think that everybody's not coming with us, and it's not to say we leave them behind anything, but you have to do your work. You have to do the work. What the Bible say, study to show yourself approved.
Correct.
That's what we need to do.
So, and that's one of the things that MelaNation is really looking at. What is the state of our people that we're investing in? Like, is the melanated people a good investment? Right? In the past, with our elders, look at Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen. I came into the culture 9 months after he passed, and I feel as if, his spirit, personally, I feel as if his passing gave me my awakening, right? I was in Jamaica. I'm not going to give the whole story, but yes, it was him. It was no one else. I never heard of Kemet before. Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen showed up in front of me, and I found out he passed 9 months prior. But MelaNation is looking to address the state of our people on a multifaceted platform. We're bringing people in through entertainment, through economics. We're bringing people in through a lot of different avenues who may not necessarily could care less about our people, right? But they're important. And like you said, not everyone is going to buy a ticket. You can't bring everybody. But as long as we're attacking and we're looking at the situation, we can address the situation. Okay, let's address these 16-year-olds. Let's address these YNs. Let's address, all these other people where they can still feel comfortable to come under the umbrella of MelaNation, as well as let's address the elders. Let's address all these other people who have either been doing the work or have not been doing the work, right? They're all our people. We want to throw a wide net, right? Ms. Janvier, did you want to answer the state of our people? What do you think the state of our people are today?
Well, we all are in agreement, or we wouldn't be here right now. So we know that somebody dropped the ball, and MelaNation is here to make sure that doesn't happen again. So what happened to the people in the Underground Railroad? Some people led that. And then when they left, that Underground Railroad may not have kept going because they weren't there to drive it. Just like Medgar Evans and Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, all these people were taken away and that movement stopped. But MelaNation is so large, they won't be able to stop everybody. So we'll keep that ball rolling.
I'll show you. What she's talking about is a systematic approach. I can't remember which one of us was talking about the generation. I think it was Sinaden. Were you talking about the children and keeping the legacy going? What that requires is a systematic approach. It has to be beyond one person's life, one person's lifetime. And that is the concept. As the architect, I'm not looking to create the businesses. I'm not looking to create the content. My job is to focus on the ceiling and the walls, the structure, right? Making sure the structure is systematic, making sure this can be replaced, but the whole structure is not going to fall when this one thing goes down. That's why we have the delegates, and we have 42 of them who are holding a status that is only good as long as they're keeping up with their satisfaction rate. And that satisfaction rate is driven and created by the users. You got to satisfy our community, right? You have to do what you're there for, because a lot of times we have our leaders who make promises and they're not held accountable. And some of us are, let me put it this way, we're at a precipice, at least I know I am. We have respect and adoration for our elders. We're predisposed to do that as African-American people, Black people in the culture. We shouldn't feel like we're not allowed to hold them accountable, right? That feeling should not even be part of us. We really need to destroy that feeling in order for us to move together in unison. Sinette?
Oh no, I was just nodding in agreement.
Yes, yeah. I don't want to. I don't know where that came from. I'm gonna leave it alone.
I totally agree, though. I totally agree with that. We should be able to build on the things that our ancestors laid down for us without feeling like we're being disrespectful to them, because some of them got some things wrong too. So we build on the strengths and we cut away the weaknesses, basically.
Okay.
That's it.
So everyone has something to contribute, the young, the middle-aged, and the elderly. And we have to take advantage of our strengths, right? And it has to be done in a systematic way, like Sinaden said. Miss Lizzie Woody, same question to you.
Okay. I'm constantly hearing the same words: collective, cooperative, create, collaboration. I feel all of those things are important, and I think we need to listen and to learn. If it's something that we cannot, if we don't have it, let's create it. Mm-hmm. We don't need permission to do that.
Right.
Technology. We are behind, I feel, in just general technology, the internet, all of that. we have to educate our people in order for them to benefit, as far as, business ownership or just their daily lives. We have to take that responsibility and do that. I don't know if that's something that we are doing. We don't need permission to do anything. When a person goes to another city, the first thing they're going to ask is, anybody know what we're going to ask? Any of you?
What are Black people?
If you go to a city to visit, ask,
where are the Black people?
Where the Black folks at?
why do we identify with that? Why do we know that? Because the answer really, it hasn't been really answered yet, but we need to work on that. So when you go to a new city, you know where we are.
Mhm.
MelaNation can be that connect.
Exactly.
So that being said, I'm gonna bring up one aspect of MelaNation a feature that's very important. It's 400 pages. We spoke about a couple of features, so I'm gonna bring up one more feature here where we're powered by Google Maps, where Black-owned businesses can register. All businesses can register on the map, but then you have the filters, where let's say you only want to go to a Black store. You can filter, Black restaurants, events, and you'll be on the map itself. I'm not going to bring up the map. I would have done that earlier, but you're actually on the map where you can actually use Google Maps to drive to these places. Let's say you're on the marketplace and you want to purchase from your own people, and so you can go to the marketplace and filter your area, your city, and it'll pop up the things that you're looking for that's specifically melanated, right? So if you do go to a city, you're on vacation, and you're not overly familiar with that city, you can go to the events, and it's going to be on the Google Maps, and it'll show you all the events that are in that location, and you can hit up all those events. It's kind of like a personal tour guide. So we have that aspect as well inside of the map. I just wanted to bring that up for a moment. But yes, very beautiful. We want to end on a positive note or a constructive note. And I'm not going to go around and ask everyone, because maybe everyone doesn't have the perspective to answer the question at this point. The question is opposite of the last question. What do we need to do? What are something constructive things that we can do to change the state of our people, to uplift our people, to unify and galvanize our people? This is very important, and I want you to understand that we plan on utilizing the comments that you have, right? So, let's answer that one. What can we do? What do we need? We are going to invest funds into it to get it done.
Well, one good thing is everyone here can tell us how to reach them. People that's watching will be able to reach them, and they could ask questions of any of them. So whoever wants to go first, just jump right in there.
So you're saying spread the news. Everyone can spread the news.
Yeah.
I share.
But how do we contact Jason? How do we contact Benjamin or Shinka or Atan? How do people that's watching that want to hear more about what they're talking about or what they do, how do they contact them?
Okay. You can always contact me. I don't mind giving my number, my email. You can find me on Facebook. I have all of the social medias, but the only one I really use is Facebook, and you can look me up on Facebook, Jason Holmes. I can give my email. My email is jawstory618@gmail.com. And I can also give my phone number, which I don't mind. My phone number is 402-304-4965.
Shay. And instead of doing it on the individual level, I can give a broad answer.
Yeah.
Our MelaNation community, everyone here is in that MelaNation community.
Oh,
So therefore, if you join the MelaNation community and search them on the list, everyone here is on there.
That's
I
right.
found that out today.
and then you guys can leave comments under on the YouTube page how to contact you. You could do that too.
Right. So the question that's being posed at this time is actual, movable, usable things that we can do that will impact. Let's say you had the money that you needed to do. What do we need to do to drive community together, galvanize us? Yes.
I think one of the. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sanjay.
Oh no, I was just going to say something pretty simple. The one main thing we really need to start doing is, like we spoke about earlier, support your Black businesses. What I get most of the time is when I talk to people about it is that, well, Black people, their customer service is horrible. I have to admit they got a point there in some cases. However, we have to learn how to give each other some grace also. You know, we as a people, we've been through a lot. So dealing with each other sometimes it can be a little tough. We can be a little hard on each other. But let's give each other some grace and support each other in what they're doing business-wise. That's one of the first things we need to do.
I see.
That's true.
One of the commonalities behind the groups that were very successful in the past is the fact that there was social services given, right? All of these different groups started out giving out social services. And that is one of the reasons why that's a metric that we're going to hold our elders accountable to. Now, here's the thing about social services. The three metrics are that they have to create job opportunities and they have to create new streams of income. Job opportunities and new stream of incomes are not mutually exclusive because you can just invest in something and offer no jobs to anyone, right? But so those are two separate things that we're holding as metrics. But the third thing is social services. And the difference between social services and those first two is that that's not going to generate any income. As a matter of fact, money is going to be lost because it's an investment that's not coming back in the form of finance. It comes back in the form of unification, right? It comes back in the form of community. So that's why that metric is very important, because our history proves that when you provide that service to the community, you can become successful and have longevity, right? So anyone else have any other tools, techniques, ideas that we can feed on to help grow?
I think one of the things that we need to make sure that we do, and which is what MelaNation is doing, right? Like, we need to have spaces that are exclusive to us. We need to have spaces where we can have conversations that no one else is privy to, right? Where we can plan and know that the planning is going to be kept insular until it is kept. You don't hear about the plans. You just see the actions. These are the type of spaces that we need to be able to create in order that we can get things done without COINTELPRO or some other body trying to come in and try to thwart things before we're able to get them off the ground.
Right.
Yeah, we got to stop inviting them to the cookout.
Right.
Agreed. Definitely. Does anyone else have any comments before we end our session?
I was just going to say what he just said. It reminds me of in Africa, there was a king. They had a meeting and they were talking about what they were going to do. And before anybody could disrupt it, they did it within like a week. It was already planned and already in motion.
Yes. So I don't know if you guys know what she's speaking in reference to, but this was a year and a half ago, or was it somewhere in there when they said it wasn't a coup. Now they're everywhere as far as unifying the dollar and the passport and everything. But So I was invited to the Zoom before any of this started off. I got an invitation to the Zoom, and I listened to the presidents speak and the military leaders speak, and I was like, this is pretty cool. It's like 300, almost 400 people on there. And I was thinking, oh, yeah, this is pretty cool. They said, don't call it a coup. That was the name of the meeting. This is not a coup, right? They said, this is revolution, right? And they made the point about that. But at the end of that meeting, I was like, oh, okay, so eventually a couple of 10, 12 years from now, we'll 3 days later, they was chopping heads. It was over. They kicked up. Who was it? Well, I don't know. It was the Europeans. They kicked them out of there. They was chopping heads and it was a done deal. 3 days. I was like, wow. They was just letting us know it was going down. That's all it was.
That's my solution, and that's why I didn't say it. It's unrealistic, but
right.
I believe in segregation.
Mm-hmm. Abraham Traore. Yes, indeed. But you know, this has been a fantastic session. I think this might have been our longest session, but it's been so powerful. Let's go ahead and do our closing. Okay, let's go ahead and do our closing. What I mean by that is, please speak to our audience. Okay, if we can start off with Brother Ben, if you can please speak to our audience from the heart.
I just want to encourage everyone to do the self-healing work. As our brother Aiton has said a lot, do the self-healing work on yourself, and just do your best to get back to nature. When I look at us as people, I ask myself, how are we still here? How are we not wiped out? And I always tell myself, man, I wish I can just get the sword and destroy evil. What my elders have told me, that's not the way to go. The best way to go is to get back to nature. So do the self-work, do the healing, and put good energy out, and the good will come back.
Ashe, dua. Miss Lizzie, let's shake things up. Go ahead and speak to the audience, Miss Lizzie.
My thing to the audience is believe MelaNation, because I feel MelaNation is the key to a change in the dynamics of us as a people. That's my Beautiful. Words right now.
Beautiful. Okay, and Sin Atten.
What I would say to the audience and anyone listening to my voice is to remember that each person that you encounter, each situation that you encounter is a reflection of yourself. And so take responsibility for the lessons that you learn. And just like the brother said, continue to grow and love each other. We have to love each other like we love ourselves, right? And this is how we can begin to work together.
Ashe, I am because we are. Miss Janvier.
You know, I don't know how Kaba said that, but he said that it takes a village to raise a child, but then he turned it around on the child raising a village. Mm-hmm. And so I believe that everyone that has children, if you have children, you gotta be a part of a village. And MelaNation is a great village to be a part of. You've gotta be a part of a village. If you're just you and your family, and you're not really communicating with others very well. And a lot of people seem to do that because they don't want their kids to be in the wrong elements. So yeah, be a part of a village and make sure it's a good village.
Right. What's that thing you say about the fist?
Oh, I got that from soul food. You know, you put your fingers together, you can make a mighty blow. Yeah.
Ashe. Sin Jason.
I would just say that, us as melanated people, we're all in the same fight. We're all in the same fight. We have the same goal, and that's liberation, is what, like I said earlier. So, what we really should be doing now, we have to get our families together. We have to get them secured.
Right.
We have to get our finances together, get that secured. We have to get our future together and secure it.
That's it.
One thing about us as a people, we love to live for the weekend, while our enemies are living for the next generation and 2 generations down the line.
Mm-hmm.
We have to change that and start thinking about the future, not just the weekend.
Right.
That's
it. And I just wanted to mention something here before I bring on Sinet Shenka. Just wanted to share my appreciation for the work that you do every week. And it is so beautiful. And I just keep up the good work. It really touches me, and I understand, as far as the complete committee, the Kemet committee here, I understand, and I'm in a full agreement, right? Certain things need to be done, and we need to uphold that belief system in our culture. So, Ms. Sinet, please speak to our audience here.
I do offer that. Now, I do that because I'm passionate about it, and I have a love for our people. Now, for those in the audience listening, MelaNation App is going to be something that is going to help. You can invest in MelaNation App is investing in yourself. We're talking about education. We're talking about economics, figuring out who we need to. Many African people don't like to vote. We need to put who we need in office. You get on MelaNation App, start talking about all the cities and who need to be put into office. And that's how we come together, get those people into office. We need to find out who we need to invest our money in, not only where we're spending our money in Black businesses, but where we're going to invest our money so that it comes back into the community. We need to start investing in our communities, period. We got these, what you call them, YNs on the block, claiming sets. They don't own these streets. They don't own a building. They're renting. So our investments, our dollars, money is everything in this country. It's not everything to me, but it's everything in this country. So we have to be very strategic of where we spend our money, who we put in the offices. And that's in all, I'm talking about even voting to your counselors in the county office, all of them. So that information needs to be out there. And as Sin Jason said, we're talking about investing in our future. We got to get our so-called YNs ready to get out there and vote. Those who are on the brink of becoming 18, they're finding their way quicker into prison before they can get to a poll. We have to be able to influence them and get them in the business of voting. And I'm not even a huge advocate for voting, but we have the choice. We put people in places. We also have to invest, not just in Black businesses, but investments. Where we invest in our money, you know what I mean? So that it comes back. As a unit, get together, Black folks invest in something major, you know what I mean? And things like that. Our education system and to the family. The family is not as short as it seems, but that's the parts that they show you. So we need to build up the Black family, the man and the woman and child, the way it should be. Other than that, you guys just again, invested in MelaNation App is an investment in yourself. So do that and stay connected. Stay connected.
Ashe. I'm just going to end by saying, what everyone is thinking, love yourself, be authentic to yourself, right? Strengthen yourself. That's where everything starts from the individual. The community is not a community without the individual, right? So that's all I'm going to say is love yourself, invest in yourself, educate yourself. And that being said, I'll just read the script here. Thank you for watching. See you again Wednesday, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. In the meantime, in between time, find us on Facebook, right? Dua, 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 dua.
Dua, dua, dua.
And I'll end with Shimmy Ma'at for our culture.
Thank you, everyone.
Day or night or evening, whatever you're having right now while you're watching us at whatever time.
Great show. Great show.
Thank you all for having us.
Thank you so much for coming, and you guys all have to come back again.